with this cup. One of my clients, my very last client of the day yesterday, actually brought me. She got laid off from her job since the last time I saw her. But she used to be an executive for a liquor company,
Okay.
and so as like one of my sweet warming gifts, she brought me this big ass bottle of peanut butter whiskey. So I just went and like poured some over rocks while we were taking our break. This shit is delicious.
Mm.
It is delicious. So I might be slurring by the end of the podcast today. We'll see.
I love
What's
it.
up with you? How have you been?
I've been good, just working, taking it day by day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yup.
Mhm. Mhm.
Salon life.
Salon
And
life.
since we were on air last, I finally moved into my suite and it's just so
Yes.
beautiful and peaceful and it just is so happy. It's just
Yeah,
so
I'm happy
happy.
for
I
you.
feel so good walking in every day. One of my clients walked in this week because this was my first full week open, and she goes, "This is bougie." She's like, "I feel like I should have changed my clothes before I came up in here." Yes,
Okay.
I want you to feel like very luxurious, like
It's
you
giving
should be spending more
luxury.
money. Yes.
Absolutely.
I want it to feel like you should be spending more money so that when it's only $500, you're not like, you
Mhm,
know,
mhm,
like that's
mhm.
it. Dang, that's crazy.
Right, right. Yes, I'm glad you kind of like framed it that way because, yeah, at the end of the day, and don't get me wrong, like, I know hair is important and has its like meaning and, symbol, significance, and everything. But yeah, like the type of service that, we do, I feel like.
Mhm.
Um, is definitely more luxury. Like you don't need to come in and like get this. You don't have to come in and get the French bob, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
Um, and there's been a lot of talk, and I know we've talked about it on here too, with like pricing and stuff.
Mhm.
Um, are you in any like Facebook hair groups or like any exchange groups or anything? No.
Mm-mm.
S-
No, I very rarely. I probably hop on Facebook like 2 or 3 times a year anymore. 2020 killed Facebook for me. I can't with
Yeah,
Facebook anymore.
I don't blame
It
you.
just raises my blood pressure. Like I just no. So no, I'm not.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Yeah.
I'm in a lot of like these private like queer exchange or like girl networks of like St. Louis, Missouri, blah blah blah.
Hmm.
And I see so many people like post in there, any recommendations for a place for a haircut or color service, that doesn't cost an arm and a leg, not looking to spend more than like $100 or whatever. And like,
Hmm.
again, I get it. I know everyone has a budget and everything, but I try
Hmm.
to tell, I'm wanting to like make my own message of like, I
Hmm.
get what you're saying. Like, again, I know clearly you have a budget and you're trying to stay within it. Um, it's interesting to me that you want me to reduce my prices in the years that I've put into my work and career to fit you with
Hmm.
one like, okay, you're not going to pay me my prices, are you going to give me something else? Can you cook?
Hmm.
Like,
Hmm.
what does your job offer? Like,
You gonna
yeah,
tutor
can
this
we,
baby after
yeah,
school?
yeah,
Like,
like, are we
yeah.
trading something? Like, what's
Yes.
going on?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Um, but you don't do that. It's like, I want you to, lower this or do this for free, whatever. Um, and it's like, well, if that were the case, how about you go to like Great Clips, Super Cuts, or a fucking school?
Hmm.
Like, I tell people all the time, I'm like, if price is a thing, go to a school. But I
Hmm.
also say, like, plan to be there for a few hours. But
Mm-hmm.
like, you want your hair done for $20 and you want a platinum blonde, go to a
Yeah.
school.
Yeah. And then when you go to a school, don't come on the internet and try to shame the student for not doing exactly what you wanted because they're a student. They're learning.
Exactly.
If you wanted an expert, you have to pay for an expert. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I feel like hairstylists in general tend to maybe this is happening less actually in the last few years post 2020. But pre 2020, hairstylists tend to undervalue ourselves, right? It's like, oh, well, I don't know if they can afford that. Lots of like emotional discounting and, just the economy's bad. I'm going to feel bad if I charge them. And I'm using $500 as a figure because my last client of the day yesterday spent $570 before tip.
Mhm.
Um, but she sat in my chair for over 5 hours.
Mhm.
And everybody's time is worth money, right? Like if you go to your job and you're making $22 an hour, you
Mhm.
expect to make that $22 an hour. And
Absolutely.
when you work overtime, you expect to get paid overtime. I also expect to get paid overtime. I always say, hair is not a need, it's a want.
Mhm.
Having your hair cut is not a need. You will not die if you don't get your hair cut, if you don't get your hair colored.
Mhm.
It's a luxury service in the first place.
Yep.
And so, yeah, but I think people just, and I feel like we've talked about this before, where people don't take what we do seriously. Like, I think because to the outside world, it's a fun job, it's a glamorous job. Like, we can have tattoos and piercings and color our hair purple and listen to music and laugh and dance and all of these things, and so I think they just don't take it seriously,
Mhm.
and that's fine. You
Absolutely.
can think whatever you want, but it
Right.
is serious. I did
Abs-
go to school. I did pay
Longer than the
to take
cops.
longer than the cops. I did have to study and pass a state board where they're not playing any game. So yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just so like funny to me too that again to bring up like we go to school longer than police officers and some people have no problem, every year voting
Giving the
to
cops
give
a
the
raise.
cops raises. And it's
And I've
like,
never had to shoot anyone on my job. I've never shot a single
okay.
person. I've had to de-escalate plenty of times, and I've never shot a single person.
Mhm. Yep, same.
Just saying.
Same. Yeah, so I want to see if I can like create a message because of course like I don't want to shame anybody like and that's not my goal like but again like we were saying this is a luxury service and it's okay if you can't afford my prices but
Mhm,
like why should I have to reduce my value because you
mhm,
can't afford me?
mhm.
I don't know.
And those same people won't have any problem sitting in your chair with their name brand purse and their convertible Mercedes out front and showing you pictures from their luxury vacation.
Mhm. Mhm.
But then it's like, oh, well, that's just so expensive. Well, I mean, your priorities are your priorities.
Yeah.
My priorities are to pay these bills.
Literally, literally. Like, I
Yeah.
have to pay bills, buy groceries. Like, it is not cheap out here, especially like for a single woman.
We
Like,
need, I mean, and it's literally like pay bills, buy groceries, but we also need to put gas in our cars. We need insurance. We need to be able to still pay our bills even when we go on vacation at least once a year. Like all of the
mhm.
things that you want in life, I also want those
I
things. I
also,
want to be able
yeah.
to go to the doctor. I want
Right.
to be able to go on
Yeah.
vacation. I want to
Yeah.
have like disposable income, you
Right.
know?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's funny because when you start drawing boundaries around it too, um, just kind of goes to pricing. But I remember when everything was shut down in 2020, I took a bunch of classes because, we're all sitting at home. I took
Mhm.
just a bunch of beauty industry related classes. And one of the classes that I took was specifically on pricing and like how to price for profit. But I also took a boundaries class. And I had always heard like about needing to have boundaries around like friends and family, right? Like my mom and my grandmother, I will do their hair for free forever. They won't allow me to, they still pay me, but like I would do their hair for free.
Mhm.
Um, but I had friends that I was doing their hair for free. And because we're friends, you know what I mean? Like for me, it's like because we're friends, I'm going to do this thing. And what I found is like it was two friends specifically. So one, we would make an appointment. It's always in my off time, which if I'm doing your hair for free, I want to do it in my off time. But they would always be late every single time they're late. So now I'm waiting for you so that I can do your hair for free.
Mhm.
Um and yeah, it just so I'm taking these classes and one day I'm like, you know what? I told both of them, I love you, but I no longer wish to do your hair for free. Like I'm setting this boundary. So here's what we're going to do going forward. You can come in during because if I'm not doing your hair for free, if you want it done, you're going to have to pay someone. So why wouldn't you want to pay the person? Like, why wouldn't you want to pay your best friend? Is my thought process behind it.
Right.
Um, but it's like, yeah, I'm not doing it on my time off anymore. If I'm going to do it, it's going to be during my normal hours that I work,
Mhm.
and you're gonna have to pay. Like that's just
Mhm.
and then it became like, oh, you just don't want to do my hair anymore. I'm like, that's not what I said. I said you
Mhm.
can get on the book and book like everyone else and pay the same price
Mhm.
that everyone else is paying. So when it
Yeah.
used to be, you're the only person I want doing my hair, you're the only person I trust, I've never done either one of their hair since. And one of them I haven't even spoken to in several years. So
Ugh.
yeah. But it's good. Boundaries are good because at least now
Boundaries
I
are good.
know. Now
Yep.
I know. You know what I'm saying? So,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm personally big fan of boundaries.
Mhm.
Big fan.
Mhm.
And it's always so funny to me, at least, like when you set those boundaries and then it's like, well, how come you don't do this or how come this or that? And it's like, are we not listening? Are the ears
Yeah.
open?
Yeah.
I remember one time I set boundaries with some family members, and literally it was like a 2-hour dinner of me
Mhm.
like saying, these are my issues A through Z. This is
Mhm.
why I feel this way.
Mhm.
Also open the floor of like if I'm doing anything that's like
Yeah.
triggering you or making, no one said anything.
Yeah.
They all were like, this is your dinner, like you let us know. So I
Mhm.
did that. Tell me,
Mhm.
I like cried during this dinner, like all the emotions.
Mhm.
Um After 2 hours of me talking to these people, we go
Mhm.
outside and it still like triggers me to this day a little bit. She looked me in my eyes and she was like, I think I asked, like, so, was what I saying, like, do you get it? Do you understand? And she was like, no, I kind of don't. Like, I don't get what you were saying. And I was like, okay,
Wow.
I heard that loud and clear.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I was just like, I felt in that moment at that dinner, like, I don't think I've ever been able to like describe my feelings and emotions like that way before. And I thought I handled it pretty well. And so then to again, like low key be gaslit into like, well, I just wasn't really understanding.
But they didn't ask any questions. They didn't ask any clarifying questions. They didn't ask for examples.
And what was even more funny was when I started to say, like, yeah, these are my issues. Like, when you do this or when you do this, it turned into, well, you do this too. Well, you do this too. Well, you did this. And it's like,
Yeah.
now where is this coming from? Because when I asked you in the beginning, hey,
Yeah.
if I've done anything that like has triggered you or made you upset, you
Yeah.
can come talk to me.
Wow.
Yeah. So I wish like, you know, how I'm being perceived through other people's eyes. Cause like, there's just been a few situations where, someone clearly has felt the need where they can't come and talk to me personally about something. Like, they're either making assumptions or they were told by someone or whatever. And I feel like I carry myself that, like, you can always come to me about something. Even if it makes me uncomfortable, like, I'm someone that I can sit with the uncomfortableness if I'm in the wrong. Like, I feel like people think because I like to, argue on Facebook or like whatever, that am somehow this like aggressive, and I've cut off family members and friends because like they weren't respecting my boundaries. And so yeah, I'm just curious, like, how am I being perceived in some people's eyes to where, like, what do you think's gonna happen if you come up and tell me?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's why I also have no problem, like, owning up to when I am at fault or if I do something wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Because like I was telling you about those two women earlier that I had, little questionable doubts with. I told the one that I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be honest. Like when I first met you, I had some biases and I didn't really fuck with you like that. And like that's on me and I apologize and I'm glad you proved me wrong. Like you 100% proved me wrong. And she was like, "Oh my god, like thank you. Like I appreciate that." So like I have no problem like stepping up and being like, "Oh hey, you know what? Maybe I did overreact on that."
Yeah.
But I feel like one thing though, you are going to listen to me. And
Yeah.
however that message gets relayed from me to you is going to depend on how you handle me and how you talk to me. Cuz again, I'm a 31-year-old woman. I'm not a
Grown girl.
teenager and I'm not a
Grown
child.
ass woman, dog.
Yeah, yeah. So like, and again, also
Yeah.
fun fact, been to therapy ever since a teenager. So like the last thing you're also going to do is gaslight me because literally my body will physically respond cuz I know when I'm getting gaslit. And like a good example was with this Love Island situation, like the couple, like you're going to tell me that this kiss that I saw, and if I could feel the sparks through the fucking screen, you're going to look me in the eye and tell me y'all are just friends and you feel nothing?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you watch The Ultimatum?
I saw like the first season when it came out.
Okay, so I don't know. I think there's maybe 3 of like just the regular Ultimatum, but they also have the Ultimatum Queer Love, which is
Yeah.
my personal favorite.
Mhm.
And they just had their second queer ultimatum. I
Mhm.
don't know when it dropped. It was this year. I don't know when it dropped. I just discovered it the other day and binge watched it all in one day because that is my jam.
Mhm.
um, but yeah, there's this just it. between the Love Island, but also like the therapy and being gaslit, this one particular girl on there, I just felt a little like, oh, she needs to go to therapy and definitely, yeah, she's very manipulative, very like, I can do all of these things, but you can't, yeah,
Mm,
it's a trip.
mm-hmm,
Um,
mm-hmm. Yeah,
but
I
yeah.
think Emma was telling me because it's funny. Emma watched The Ultimatum but didn't watch Love Island, and then I
Mhm.
watched Love Island and didn't watch The Ultimatum. And
Uh-huh.
we worked next to each other, so she would always hear me bitching and complaining about how Nick and
Yeah.
Alandria were gaslighting me, and
Yes.
and I was like, yeah, because I've been to therapy. Also, I've dealt with someone who like constantly gaslit me. So
Mhm.
like when you deal with someone like that, like
It's
again,
triggering.
it is. And like I said, it's not like a physical like I'm going to punch you because you're triggering me. But my
Mhm.
body will literally like, ooh, I tense up
Mhm.
because like and I do like tend to shut down because now that I know that you're trying to gaslight me, anything that I say can be said and used
Mhm.
against me and not in a
Mhm.
court of law. So,
Mhm. But
yeah.
there's this girl, Bridget, on this season, um, the Queer Ultimatum. Her hair is so fire. You
Ooh.
have to go and look at it. Like
Okay.
her whole style is just cute. The queer girls always have the best style. Or her whole style is just cute, but her hair is so fire. It's naturally, I think it's naturally curly. I don't know her personally, but
Okay.
it looks like it's naturally curly. But I bet people think it's a perm all the time. And it's like this very
Oh.
80s, like disconnected mullet. It's so cute.
Mhm.
Yes,
I
so
like
cute.
it.
I'm obsessed with her hair. I'm obsessed with her hair.
That is cute.
Yeah.
Do we like Bridget?
Yeah, Bridget is cool. I do
Okay.
like Bridget. Yeah,
Okay.
she seems like a very cool, very genuine person. Yeah, the one that I didn't like, and I can't even think of her name. I want to call her Macy, but I know that's not it. Dana. Her name was Dana. Yeah, she's a manipulative bitch.
I
I didn't
think
like
that's the
her.
one Emma was telling me about. Is that the one
Yeah.
that like they got it like a tattoo and were saying I love you, and then like
Yes.
after their trial she was like, okay, I'm going back to the
Yes.
other one.
Yep.
Yeah.
That is the one. And then she's gaslighting her partner because she mentioned when they were getting the tattoos that her partner was going to be mad because they were supposed to get tattoos together. And then she gets back to her partner and shows her partner the tattoos, and now she's like, "Well, I forgot. I didn't remember that we were supposed to get tattoos together." Like, this bitch is psychotic. Yeah.
Yeah, like I just again, I guess because I've never really been that way, like I just
Mhm.
don't see like it logically doesn't make sense why someone would lie.
Yeah. There we go. I
It
needed a little more light in here. It's definitely
yeah.
dark. Yeah. Like, what do you think is going to happen to you if you're just honest?
Yeah,
But I
absolutely.
think it's a you problem, not a you problem, a them problem, right?
Mhm,
Like, it's
mhm.
not, you're casting your, whatever you think I am, or what you're like putting something on me that I have nothing to do with. Like, that's
Mhm.
on
Yeah, absolutely.
you.
Yeah, and with you saying that, I feel like more people don't recognize like their unconscious bias that they
Mhm,
have. And
mhm,
it's I don't know, for me, it's not saying that just because you have this unconscious bias you're a bad person, right? Like that's what
mhm,
unconscious bias is like you just
mhm,
automatically kind of have these assumptions about whatever.
mhm.
But like it is your job to like sit with that and kind of like figure out like, oh, is this bias that I have like true, or am I just basing it off of like fear, or like let's unpack why you have this bias. you know?
Yeah. And it's funny that you say that because, and mine is probably, I wouldn't even call it unconscious. I would call it conscious bias. Because I definitely make assumptions about white people in general and white women specifically when I'm coming in contact with them. But like you said, like, and that's not to say that I don't give people an opportunity to prove me wrong, because I
Mhm.
would love to be proven wrong.
Mhm.
But what I'm not gonna do is have myself open to you knowing, generally speaking, what I can expect. So when you show me that I can expect differently from you, then you can see all of me. But I'm
Mhm.
not, yeah, I don't have time for it.
Mm-mm. Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I always say, like, one of my favorite quotes is three things cannot be long hidden: the sun, the moon, and the truth. And that's just always, I don't know, like my little mantra that I like to go
Mhm.
on. And what I think people also confuse, like, just because you're being truthful and honest doesn't mean you have to be hurtful. And people need to learn, like, sometimes you do have to reword what you're trying
Mhm.
to convey, because it can be like twisted or manipulated, or again, what one definition to someone could be is clearly a whole different other definition to somebody else.
Mhm.
Um, Actually, this is a kind of a funny point. So, kind of tying back to Love Island, I feel like we're kind of getting to this point now where when you go on a reality show, and I get it, like you subject yourself to so much, right? But I do feel like, speaking of boundaries, like where do we draw the line at though on like how much these fans can like interact and deep dive when these people come out of these shows and are exposed to the real world, um especially like shows where you are cut off from outside world, like Love Island, Survivor, Big Brother, where you don't have like constant, like, oh, what's going on in the
Mhm.
outside world. And I remember, like, did you ever watch Big Brother?
No, not for real. I have a
Uh,
cousin that was on it though.
ah, fun.
Lawan, yeah, he was in
Okay.
one of the, I think like season 3. But
Ah,
anyway,
okay, love that.
yeah, uh-huh.
Um, I forget if it was the UK version or the US version, but when COVID was happening, they had to send in a team of like with people in hazmat suits and like bring out the contestants in literally like a quarantine bubble because they haven't been exposed to the outside world, and since COVID
Yeah,
has taken over. And
yeah.
so imagine being locked in a house with no outside communication of the world, and then you're being told that you have to go what you would think would be like the studio that is outside of the house that they're in. Like where they do like the talk shows after they, or the interviews after they get eliminated or whatever. So like
Mhm.
imagine going out there thinking it's going to be like an interview, or like maybe the producers are coming in to like tell you guys something, and you walk out there and it's fucking a team in
You're in
hazmat
hazmat.
suits,
That's
and
insane.
you're
Yeah.
literally like in a quarantine bubble to where you can't get out of the bubble, and your only option is to go back inside the house,
That's insane.
and they tell you that there's a pandemic going on.
That's insane. Yeah.
And then I know last year on Love Island, and again, this is why I bring up like boundaries and stuff, because whose fault, who decides when you step in and tell them? Because I think, I don't know, I'm not a producer, but I feel like if a worldwide pandemic is going on, I mean, immediately you get in there and say, like, hey, so this is going on.
Yeah.
Um, do you guys want to call your families? Like, what? I don't know. And
Yeah.
last year on Love Island, because with Love Island, they're in Fiji. And again, they don't have their phones or access to like what's going on in the outside world. And I think one of the contestants last year said her grandpa died while she was like filming the show, and they didn't tell her.
Wow.
And so
It's
it's
giving the Truman Show. Do you remember the reality show?
yeah,
Like
yes.
when the guy, I don't remember his name, but like the director with the little beret, and he's like, yeah, making judgment calls for somebody's life without their input is crazy.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. And
But also, it's like they signed up for that too, right?
well, that's what I was going to bring up too. Do you remember the reality show The Circle? It was on
Mm-hmm.
Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a reality show where I was low key. I was like, I could do that. Like, you're essentially
Mm-hmm.
just like going on there, and you can either be yourself or like catfish, like
Yeah.
super easy.
Mm-hmm.
So, but then it got me thinking, like, what what does that mean though when you go on a reality show? Because I've always been curious, because I grew up watching like Jersey Shore, The Challenge, Real World, these shows where you're gone for weeks at a time. So I'm always like,
Yeah.
how are y'all paying your bills? Like, what are y'all
Yeah.
doing? And at
Are they
least
supposed
back
to
in the
pay them ahead of time?
so I don't know. I think it depends on the show. I think you are paid, but I think again, depending on the show, you're either paid like minimum wage or like a couple $100 a week.
Mm.
But
Wow.
then I heard a rumor, I don't know if this is true, but I heard on Love Island they were getting paid $1,500 a week.
That sounds a little more reasonable, because what am I going to do with minimum wage? I wasn't making minimum wage before I came on this show. Like, these are not minimum wage bills.
Mhm. Well, I'm a little curious because obviously, and I've been watching like that kind of reality TV for a long time. I never really got
Mm-hmm.
into like the housewives and
Mm-hmm.
like the
Yeah, me
super
either.
Hollywood reality shows.
Mm-hmm.
But back in the day, we didn't have all these influencers.
Yeah.
So, like, a lot of contestants on reality shows now are like some kind of influencer, some kind of brand ambassador,
Yeah.
or have some kind of like weird sales job. Like,
Yeah.
it's nothing like, oh, I'm a carpenter, or like I'm an
Yeah.
architect, or like a doctor, or you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so, um, which I get it. You know, I could see not all those people in those career fields can take 6 weeks off of work, but yeah, I don't know.
So I'm trying to get this comment up. Um, Bramble Roots says, weird lore. I had a roommate who was on Married at First Sight. I want to know who the roommate was because I've seen every episode. I had a roommate. There we go. I had a roommate who was on Married at First Sight, and his agent made offers for him to be on The Circle and The Amazing Race. A family friend also won second place on The Biggest Loser. That's awesome.
Okay. Oh yeah, that's
Uh,
what I was gonna bring up with what I found out with going on a reality show. Um, all the articles I read, they said to get a lawyer to go over that contract.
for sure. And one thing that being a hairstylist has taught me, and specifically being a hairstylist who owns a salon, contracts are always negotiable. Do not ever
Mhm.
sign the contract as is. Read that
Mhm.
thing and make notes on it. Okay, so these shows are designed to exploit contestants' mental health, so it's almost always a rough ride. Ugh. Yeah, and that's true. Like I've seen all kinds of stories about people being like food and water being withheld, like overly feeding them alcohol,
Hmm.
all of that. And then what is this? Olandria is in elevator sales. That is so
Yes, yeah, that's
rare.
what I'm saying. Like on Love Island this year, we had some that actually had like real careers. Like Alandria was in elevator sales. Jalen was a truck driver. Um, I don't know what Elan does, but he clocked back into work.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, like kind of the rest of them, they're just out doing their own thing. And again, not to discredit, because I think Ace also has his own business. I think Huda has her own business. And again, not to, oh, Anna Maya, our winner, that's also what I wanted to say. We had the first Latino winners of Love Island this year. So
Good stuff.
congratulations to Brian and Amaya. And our
Yay.
runner ups were an interracial couple, Nick and Alandria, the couple that tried to gaslight me.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, they said there was nothing and now they're together.
girl.
Messy.
Messy. But like I'm ecstatic for them.
Yeah.
Because like I said, I felt that kiss through the screen.
Yeah.
Like, don't sit
I'm
here
such
and
a
lie to
sucker
me.
for love. Like something about
Yes.
people falling in love is just my jam. I love it.
Well, and in the show, because again, like Koch said, they manipulate and twist the narratives of things. Um,
Mhm.
they were portraying, so initially Alandria was in a couple with Taylor, and from what we were told as the viewers, Alandria wanted like a country man. Guess what? Taylor
Mm.
was a cowboy from Oklahoma, I think.
Yeah, I
And
remember
so
talking about them. Yeah.
yeah, so like obviously they made sense. And then what we're seeing from what the show is putting out, like we see a conversation between Taylor and Ace, and Taylor is talking about how he doesn't know how he's supposed to make the physical attraction there. Like if it's not there, it's not there, which 100% you are absolutely correct. I don't know. I think you need to get your eyes checked because Alandria is gorgeous, like
Yeah.
out of this world beautiful, but to each their own, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, but the show portrayed Alandria like she was kind of like, oh, this ditzy kind of chasing this man that didn't want her. And she, now that they're outside of the show, she did an interview recently and they asked her, they were like, do you think your relationship with Taylor was accurately portrayed for viewers to see? And she was like, no. She was like, I was unaware that Taylor was not physically attracted to me. And even in the show, we see in a confessional with Taylor, he says he wants to explore Alandria and Clark still. And so, which again, like, that's fine. Like, that's what you're here for. But if you started having more feelings or like this deeper connection with Clark, you should have told Alandria that. But
Mhm.
you were coming off like you were stringing Alandria along just in case Clark didn't want you, you could continue to stay in the house with Alandria.
Yeah. Taylor should have said that to Alandria.
Yeah, like
Oh,
that's all
about
you.
the not being sexually attracted, I'm assuming. Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah, like
that's
you're telling the world, but you haven't told me.
right, right. Well,
Yeah.
and then to try, so there was a challenge where all the contestants got to write whatever they wanted to write to each other. And so when it got on Taylor, he was up there reading, and um someone had said, you know, you and Alandria had 3 weeks to build this connection, and you're telling us that it all went away in 3 days with Clark. And he was up there saying how Clark gives him like this kid feeling, and how Alandria is upset because Alandria wanted Taylor to move for her and he wanted to move for him. And when Taylor said that Clark gives him this kid feeling, Alandria goes, "How old are you?" And he said 25. And she's like, "Oh, okay." And Taylor like felt that he always had to be like this man, and
Mhm.
I clearly he wanted to have a different type of relationship, which again, like that's fine, but you should have been
Yeah.
honest with her.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like I think you know, I'll speak for myself as a black biracial woman. I could see how for Alandria why she wouldn't have pursued Nick first, because she, I think, was raised and believed in this like, I need to be in this black love relationship. Like
Mhm.
she is very pro black. So like I
Mhm.
think she had this idea that she was supposed to be with this like black man. And also not to put all that on to her either, because Nick, who is white, was also like in a love triangle with these 2 other girls. And there is a moment where, so the other girls he was had connections with was Bella and Sierra. So there's a scene where all 3 of those girls, Sierra, Alandria, and Bella, are all sitting together, and Bella, who's coupled up with Nick, she asks Sierra like, "Oh, who you feeling? Like, have you made any other connections?" And then Bella goes, "Are we still like, you know, on the same boat with the same man?" And
Mm.
Sierra was like, "Yeah, like my connection with Nick is just like the strongest out of all the guys." And it kind of pans to Alandria, and she's just kind of like, and she even has said in interviews now, like that was the moment where she kind of took Nick off of her radar because, and again, Alandria is a dark skinned woman, whereas Bella, like she's tan, but she's like Asian biracial, I believe. And or
Mhm.
no, yeah, I think Asian. And then Sierra is Puerto Rican and Mexican, I think.
Mhm.
So like, you know, okay, Nick definitely loves a little flavor. I'll give him that.
Mhm.
Um But I could see like in Olandria's position, like as a dark skinned black woman, is she gonna be the choice over these 2 other women? You know what I mean? In that
Mhm.
sense.
Yeah.
And I will say too, I do feel like Nick showed time and time and time again it was always her. But
Mm.
because Taylor was also still stringing her along,
Mhm.
she focused on Taylor.
Yeah.
And so it's funny now to see them in interviews, and people will kind of say to her, like tease her a little bit, like, you know, can you admit that you were a little oblivious to everything? And she'll always say, like, oh my gosh, yeah, we were so oblivious, you know, because we had our other connections and blah, blah, blah. And Nick is always just kind of like, mm hmm. Because he was never oblivious. It was always you,
Mhm.
babe.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, when I was watching the Ultimatum Queer Love in the last couple of days, there was also this drop dead gorgeous dark skinned black woman whose name I can't recall. I remember her spouse's name was AJ or her partner's name was AJ, but I can't remember her name, but she is like stunning, like so
hmm
beautiful. And I remember watching it and feeling like one, none of these reality shows even deserve black women because I just don't appreciate the way they get treated.
hmm
Because she wasn't, the ultimatum, you break up with your spouse and you move in with another spouse and you're okay. She didn't get chosen. I'm like, she's literally like head and shoulders the finest person on this. Like how she and she's just like a good person. She's an entrepreneur, like she's funny. What?
Mhm.
So I just am like torn between like reality TV doesn't deserve black women. But also like I don't want to watch it if there aren't black women on it.
Mhm.
So but I just get tired of watching black women just get treated like that. Like,
Mhm.
and I think ultimately it's just they don't do with us, right? Like, because God forbid you have a strong opinion about anything. Now you're aggressive. Now you're intense. You're
Literally.
making people uncomfortable,
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, and I
Yeah.
feel like you can find that on any show, but we definitely saw that this year on Love Island. There was another contestant, Huda, who I will say Huda makes great reality TV. I don't think Huda should have been on Love Island.
Mhm.
She maybe should have been on Baddies or
Oh,
some
yeah.
other show. Um, and she was on the chopping block to go home like multiple times. And now again that the contestants are outside of the show, they have come forward and said that there were days where like it was uncomfortable because like she was just causing so much tension
Yeah.
and was just like, everyone has their emotions, but like just making it everyone else's problem. And we see it in the show. Like she gets very verbally abusive with some of the men on that show. Now there's talks of like possible sexual coercion. Um
Coercion.
yeah, coercion. I can't say it one more time.
Coercion. So many people have trouble
Coercion.
with that word, and I figured that out during the Diddy trial. It's a hard word for
Coercion.
people to
Yeah.
pronounce.
I
Yeah.
do know the meaning of it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, just for some reason that OE together, the OER, like people are, yeah.
Yeah. My little speech impediment.
It's not just
Uh
you. It's not just you.
yeah, and the man that came forward about that against Huda is like this, he's a 6'8" like black man. And
Wow.
yeah, yeah. And so now, the question is being raised like, what if he were to do that to her? Like, what would the
Hmm.
narrative have been?
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, it's just Huda just got all this like excuse and sympathy for her behavior. But then as soon as Alandria and Shelly, who are two dark-skinned black women, make boundaries or like try to uh stand on, there was that challenge like stand on business, like then they're painted as these mean girls. And it's like, wait a minute, I don't remember anyone like walking on eggshells because Alandria and Shelley like said something. I did see that
Hmm.
with Huda. And now I will say, was there a few situations where maybe like Alandria and Shelley not necessarily were in the wrong, but maybe that wasn't the time to handle it? Absolutely. But just as
Hmm.
much can be said, if not more so, with Huda.
Yeah.
So why did Huda get all this grace and Alandria and Shelley get nothing and they get labeled as these mean girls? And also some of Huda's fans are fucking wild and created trigger warning, created a meme of they put Alandria's face on a picture of where George Floyd was, and then Huda as the officer.
Wow.
And to my knowledge, that's why I was
Wow.
like kind of bringing up like boundaries and like when you go on these shows, like whose responsibility, like now it's gone too far. So like
Yeah.
whose responsibility?
That was a choice.
Yeah, that was a choice. And so who does that fall on? Does Huda come out and say something? Does production / Love Island come out and say something?
Wow.
And you know, there was another situation with the contestant Sierra, who is Puerto Rican and Mexican. She got kicked off of the show because she said an Asian slur. And she was kicked off the show, which absolutely she should have been. But then people were calling ICE on her family. And it's like, well, now we've taken it too far. We've lost the plot. Like,
yeah, that is psychotic.
yes. And again, like who's supposed to come out and like say something? Or again, where does that like fall on?
Yeah. That's white people always do too much. Like always. There's never a time that white people aren't just doing the absolute most. Because like, why would you think that's okay? They knew good and hell well that was not okay. That's great. You could have done like a WWF for those pictures. Like the fact that you chose George Floyd and the officer was very intentional. That's crazy. And that's my I was gonna say confirmation bias, and it is. But what do you call it? Unconscious bias. That's why.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, and then I'm also curious, like, because, you know, sometimes I like to think deeper, because Huda is Palestinian and something else. So then I'm kind of like, why are we trying to like pin these two, you know, narratives of like a Palestinian girl against a black woman?
Yeah.
You know? And I feel like, I will say, I think Huda, my own personal opinion, I think Huda should definitely address like her fans, because yeah, that's absolutely insane. Now, I don't think Huda should necessarily like be blamed for how her quote unquote fans reacted or like did some things, but like if it's to the point where yeah, like I wouldn't even call that a meme, but like this derogatory picture is being made by people in your name supporting you.
Yeah, I would want to sit in the uncomfortableness of what about me is attracting people like that. Why do you think that's okay? Yeah, I would. If I were Huda, I would have something to say about that. Like, y'all are about to get these bars because if that's how you feel, unfucking follow me right now.
And I will say, I haven't watched her in these like exit interviews that she's done, so anyone in the comments feel free to correct me, but it sounds like a few interviewers that she's gone on these podcasts have tried to kind of question a little bit like her behavior and situation when it involves like Alandria and Shelly, and she just like starts crying. And like doesn't want to take again any responsibility or accountability.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah.
It says she's to blame because she's failed to speak on it. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yep.
Absolutely. Like if they're calling themselves fans of me, then you need to know how I feel about this so that now you have a decision to make. Yeah. No bueno. That's crazy. That's way too far. Yeah, that's way too far.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, shout out though, even though all of that was going on and happening, our winners again were Amaya and Brian and Nick and Alandria.
Yeah.
And Alandria is going to be well taken care of for the rest of her
Yeah.
life. Nick is damn near like almost I love you. I know he wants to say that to her.
Yeah. So speaking of taking things too far, because I realize like we're basically coming up on an hour and we have not touched like literally anything else.
We've talked about our pop culture.
I love pop culture, but I feel like we must have on record our thoughts. Speaking of taking things too far, that the current regime has kowtowed to their audience and conspiracy theories and all of that for so long that they've now taken it too far. And now we are trying to figure out, is the Epstein files going to be too much for MAGA? Because I know you saw like not Joe Rogan. What's the guy that owned InfoWars? He's a crackhead.
They're all
Um
crackheads.
yeah, but he's like very like
Is it that
crackishy.
Kirk
Same guy.
guy?
Huh?
Is it the Kirk guy?
No, it's the guy that was speaking of conspiracy theories, where he was saying like all the kids that were killed at that school, like that was all just a psyop and that they
Oh,
were all actors.
Alex Jones.
Yes. Had a whole like crybaby fit online. It's always been cringy when people cry online for me. That's weird. But Alex Jones crying online about Trump not releasing the Epstein files is comedy gold. Like it's are you guys talking about that behind the chair? Like what is that? What is that?
I'm trying to think. Yeah, a few of my guests have kind of been like, yeah, what do we think's going to happen? Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, all I know is my student loans better disappear like these Epstein files have disappeared.
Listen. Listen.
Because what do you mean?
Yeah.
Also, I want to point out, and not to say that she shouldn't be in there because absolutely she should, but isn't it crazy? The only person that is actually serving any kind of punishment or time for this, for a man's role, is the woman.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and she should be. So I don't know. And I feel like we've talked about this online before about the girl who was so she sued Donald Trump before he ran for president because he raped her when she was like 13, I think. And basically like it just kind of went away. Like she was threatened and like, yada yada yada, and it just kind of went away and was very suppressed. I found her deposition on the internet, like on YouTube. And I just am just curious why, like what, and Donald Trump said that he could shoot somebody in the middle of Fifth Avenue and his people would still support him.
Mm-hmm.
But now he's called them all weak and stupid because they won't let this shit go. So I'm just curious if we think that, like, is this the turning point? Like, is this the thing that gets MAGA together or no?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think so because I feel like if that were the case, then we would start with people that's lists or that their name probably isn't on the list because they probably
Mm-hmm.
don't have any connection to Epstein. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Um, and I was just because I got into this whole argument with someone about, a lot of people want to sit here and call out like Donald Trump, P. Diddy, Weinstein, whoever, but y'all are going to the Chris Brown concert?
I mean, for that matter, you're going to Thanksgiving with the creepy uncle. Nobody's saying
Right.
shit. Yeah.
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
don't have a
So,
creepy uncle. I'm gonna say something.
yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's just kind of like if you can't do that with
Yeah.
them, I don't think you're
Yeah.
gonna be able to do it
I
with
saw
like actually
somebody.
people in power.
Yeah. No, that's facts. I've been seeing, like, I've been watching the discourse. Most people know that I don't really do social media, but I love YouTube. I love podcasts. So I've been watching the discourse, and specifically almost kind of the rebrand of like what even is inappropriate sex with minors. And like, I don't want to say it was Garagos because I can't swear to it. It was something I was like listening to in passing while I was doing something else. But it might have been Garagos. It was one of the like high powered like lawyer attorneys whose names we would know. And I think it was Garagos, but I can't swear to it. So I'll say allegedly. But he was talking about this case specifically. Now, they were showing footage of him like a couple of years ago saying how, because he was defending someone that had to do with this case, and he's like, I've got the files, and there's a lot of high powered names in here, blah, 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 blah. But now recently, he's saying that the files don't actually contain anything. It's a big nothing burger. And they're showing clips of these actual words coming out of his mouth. So two, I guess, points that I want to make is the first one is one of the things that he was saying is that he thinks that the laws for consent are outdated, and that basically that number should be lowered to basically girls who are not prepubescent. Like basically, once a girl hits puberty, it should be fair game because she wants it. Like this attorney was saying that. And I remember hearing like there's a saying, and it's disgusting, so trigger warning. But
I
there's a
already know
saying,
what you're gonna say.
yes, where they say if there's grass on the field, play ball.
Oh, not
Um,
what I thought you were gonna say.
that's not okay. Well, so and it's basically just referring to once girls hit puberty that
Mhm.
they're fair game. So
Mhm.
first of all, that's disgusting. Second of all, anyone that's calling for that needs to be investigated. But when he was saying that, I was just thinking like my daughter started her cycle at 9 years old. So what you're saying to me now that's puberty. She's hit puberty. So you're saying that that should be fair game. Like I will kill you, first of all. Like these people are insane. And
Absolutely.
but then the second point is I keep seeing people refer to like podcasters refer to the Epstein debacle, like the whole thing, right? Like that they won't release the tapes, that Ghislaine Ma- Ghislaine Maxwell is the only person that's been in prison for this for the last several years. As a, she's the only one that's being held accountable. But I keep seeing people refer to it as class warfare and as, it's elites versus the rest of us, and talking about a two-tier justice system. And I just want to say that Black people have literally been telling y'all that for decades. I just wanted to say that.
Do you remember that documentary that came out a few years ago? I think it's like called To Make a Murderer or To Make a
I do.
Killer.
I do. Yeah.
Yeah. Um and I remember when that came out, like white people were going insane. They were like, can you believe like this happened in like this poor family, this poor man, blah, blah, blah. And I remember watching it because I was like, well, clearly, something so fucked up and tragic has happened to where the white people are all coming together to talk about this. And I
Mhm.
watch it and like again, not to say that, it wasn't a shitty fucked up situation because it was, but I was like, y'all think this is bad. Wait till I tell you what they're doing to black people. And I want to say like I brought up Central Park 5.
Yeah.
Like, huh?
Yeah.
And
Where y'all
they only did that to the guy, I can't think of his name, but that was in the documentary for How to Make a Murderer, How to Make a Killer, um, because he was poor and uneducated. It wasn't because he was white.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
and then to go back with what you were saying with, how did you say they're trying to reframe like
The
relationship
rebranding. The
rebranding?
rebranding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, that doesn't shock me because I think I've talked about it on here because I didn't grow up with religion, so I'm not religious. But I
Mhm.
remember hearing, um, what if man created God because woman created life? And with this rebranding, it makes total sense that grown men are wanting to get with children because that's what their God did. Their God
Mhm.
impregnated a, virgin, what,
Young
13, 14
virgin.
year old?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that to me is weird. Like, why are y'all
Yeah.
following this higher being that got a teenager pregnant?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and
Was there
also
was there any
too,
do we know if God got consent?
right. Yeah. Yeah. No, it's gross. It's gross. And I think too, I'm just thinking about how they're doing all these things where they're kind of rolling back women's rights. Like it all boils down to control, right? Like you want to control women. And what better way to control women than to get them knocked up at 10, 11, 12, 13 years old? Not allow them bodily autonomy, and you
Mhm.
can just start, grooming women younger right on out in the open.
Well, and I wanna say I've talked about it on here too. There's a lot of states in that have laws that you can marry a 12-year-old as long as that 12-year-old's parents gives you consent.
Hmm. That's literal trafficking. That's
Mhm.
trafficking.
Mhm.
There's a law for that. It's called trafficking.
Mhm.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Insane.
So insane. Yeah, so it will be interesting to see what happens with the Epstein files.
Hmm.
Again, I guess it's cool that it's getting people talking and
Yeah.
I guess exposing that, Trump isn't truthful. Also, like,
Yeah.
what again, why are we shocked? I've already
Yeah.
seen tons of pictures of just them together. So it doesn't
Yeah.
surprise me that they would be doing that shit
Yeah.
together.
And to be fair, as much as I've seen like people outrage, like the guy whose name I've forgotten already again, but you called his name earlier, Alex Jones.
Mhm.
But just as much as I've seen that, I've also seen people literally twisting themselves into a pretzel, trying to justify or trying to find a reason why Donald Trump is not releasing it other than him just being in the fucking files. And they're like, well, Joe Biden didn't release it because he's in it. Well, good. Lock his ass up too. What are
Right.
your points?
Literally.
I don't
Literally.
care if the Pope can be in there. Jesus Christ himself can be in there. Lock all of their asses up. It's not that
Jail
hard. It's not
immediately.
that hard. Or, burn them with fire. Whatever.
But again, like, that's where the classism comes in, right? Because we know damn well the people on that list can fight the system. We are witnessing it now with P. Diddy. Like,
Mhm.
just because charges are being dropped doesn't mean he's not guilty.
Right.
A lot of
Right.
times I feel like with what we're witnessing is it sounds like some of the people can't keep up with the legal fees to keep
Mhm.
fighting it. And essentially that's what people in power do. They will draw
Yeah.
it out just for you to run out of money, and then
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
disgusting.
Yeah. One a client and I were talking yesterday about I don't know, just like how we get our way out of how we find our way out of it because and I think I texted to you about because we've talked about whether or not it's possible to vote our way out of this, right? And my answer for that for decades has been no. I do vote, but I don't think that voting our way out of it is an option. And that's just further proven by the fact that they canceled an election in Miami and it barely made a blip on the radar. They literally just canceled an election in Miami. And I didn't find out until 4 days later. Like, so they're already rolling this stuff out.
Mm-hmm.
So no, I don't think we can. So yeah, so I'm just telling her no, I don't think we can vote our way out of it. She's like, and it's crazy because as cynical as I feel about the system and have zero amount of faith in the system, I also feel optimistic that something comes after this. Which sounds crazy. But like I was telling her, like I've never heard of a bloodless revolution. Have you?
What is
Like
it?
a bloodless revolution. Have you ever heard
Oh,
of one?
no.
I don't think there's one on record. I'm just saying.
Nope. Not that I
Just
know of.
saying.
Not that
Yeah.
I know of.
Anywho,
Yeah.
this is delicious. This is delicious.
I'm
By the way,
glad.
I would have never put peanut butter and whiskey together, but they got a winner with that. That's fire. But yeah, I mean, we definitely went over. I don't know if you want to read us out, but you definitely don't have to since we already know we're just going to start recording those for
Okay.
the live. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to.
All right. Peace out, guys.
All right. Love you. Bye.
See ya.